I think it's working. Jesse, you're on with Ethan and Jenna. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Woo!
Yes.
Thank you, Jesse, for calling back.
I finally got through.
What's
Sorry
going on,
about
Jesse?
that. We have had some audio issues today. I believe they are now resolved.
Good. Jenna, I am one of your first reporters. I think you know who I am.
I do. You do a lot of anime memes, don't you?
Yes, I do. Oh, God. I am so glad you know who I am.
Yeah.
I can relate so well to what you were saying about learning so much from a relationship that hasn't worked.
Yeah.
But I am not one of the lucky ones. I went through a couple of times actually. Regarding mental health and relationships, when I first heard what your topic was, I was like really, really upset because I have a brain injury. 36 years ago, I was in a very serious car accident. Jenna probably knows this. And I was in a coma for 3 months, hospital 8 months, therapy for full-time therapy for a year, and living on my own now with ongoing complications. Anyway, I was with a girl for a woman actually for 18 years. I'm currently 55 years old. She's 10 years older than I am. She dealt with my problems extremely well. She's a medical technologist, and that is a higher stress level rating than air traffic controller.
Really?
Wow.
So you have to really be on top of your game.
Okay.
I think I've heard that.
She was, I probably told that to you. You really have to be on top of your game to have a job like that. And she was so sharp. I mean, you couldn't get anything past her.
Mm-hmm.
She helped me out tremendously. I mean, she put up with a lot. She just was, oh my God, she was phenomenal.
Well, she's a medical professional. I'm sure she understands brain cognition a little bit better than the average person, right?
Probably. I don't know, but I would probably guess that.
Yeah.
Also because just of the way her personality was.
Right.
Her ex-husband was bipolar.
Mm.
And she went way out of her way just to cover for him. A lot of the times. I think also as part of her personality anyway. I already said that. Anyway, a couple of years ago, she came down with an early onset of Alzheimer's. And it's like heartbreaking.
I'm so sorry.
So, yeah, thank you. I mean, that's just, or dementia rather. It's just,
You're still together?
And here's someone who is so smart. They could just, outthink the best people. And now is like forgetting something that you mentioned less than a minute ago. I mean, you're talking about mental health here.
Mm-hmm.
Two people with mental, with mental disorders, I guess you could, not disorders, but you know what I mean.
Mental struggles.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And that just like really, because I know that last week you were doing mental disorders, and it was like, I just wasn't in the frame of mind to call. But then this week when you said, relationships and mental disorders, I was like, oh no, I gotta call.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I mean, I can relate really well to that. And also, when you were talking, Ethan, about relationships that really weren't good, but you learned from.
Mm-hmm.
Before this person, her name is Barbara. Before her, I was in a relationship with Lucy, and I call her Lucy because she was the devil's daughter, short for Lucifer. Her name was Amy, but anyway, she was a heroin addict. Quote, recovering heroin addict, and she was on methadone, which is really, I guess, substituting one addiction for another.
Right.
And
addicts do that. Yeah.
What was that?
Although, I mean, from my understanding, methadone is a means for helping getting people away from opiates, or at least controlling their urges.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I understand too.
So then, yeah, it sounds like she's trying.
Yeah.
But please continue.
I'm sorry?
No, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No. That's what I thought it was at first too. Well, that was my understanding at first as well. But then other people have told me, well, it's just like substituting one for another, and I don't know. I'm still fuzzy on it.
So,
but
go ahead. I know of one person or two people in specific that in my life that were struggling with addiction, and they were looking for a way to improve, and they found a methadone clinic, and they went to that. And while the clinic wasn't the best, they did use it to get their urges under control. They would take it. It was like, I think it was every morning. And shortly, I think it was a couple months into taking it, they stopped, using heroin and other painkillers, and eventually were able to quit entirely and get their life back together. Now, I wouldn't recommend that for everyone, but it did help a couple people in my life. So I guess it would depend. Is she abusing it, or is she using it, as a medicine, taking it once a day to suppress and control those urges?
Well, I would say it's not any of our business.
Oh yeah, okay. Jenna, you're right. I apologize.
No, I mean, it's understandable to want to understand what is healthy. But when it comes to this particular person, I mean, she's taking care of herself. Even if she's going to go and further down the rabbit hole, sometimes, and this is the God honest truth, that you have to hit rock bottom sometimes before you can come back up. And if people keep preventing you from hitting rock bottom, then your subconscious thinks that you're safe, and you just stay down there. You just never come back up because you keep thinking, oh, well, I'm not down at the bottom, so I'm okay. It could be worse.
Could you elaborate? Like, what do you mean by preventing you from hitting rock bottom?
So enabling. Are you familiar with that term? So enabling is basically, for example, you or your two parents, you have a teenage kid goes out and gets drunk and wrecks the car, and you have to go and pick him up at the police station at 3:00 in the morning.
Okay.
Bailing him out would be enabling him.
Really?
Yes. Because the fact of the matter is, if you do that in real life and your parents aren't here, that's what will happen to you. And if you bail them out, you're going to teach them that they will be bailed out. Let them stay in overnight, at least, I mean, it depends on the situation, obviously, but just saving people all the time, saving people doesn't necessarily save them, because then they don't know how to save themselves.
So at what point, I guess, do you interject and try to save them? And the reason I ask this is I have a friend right now who, and I want to be clear, he's public about his struggles. So I am not violating any trust. He would be okay with me talking about this. He has been an addict at alcohol for several years now, and his health is just getting worse. He had to have part of his, because it impacted his diabetes, he had to have part of his foot amputated. And he's just continuing to sink. And I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to do. I've tried being supportive. I've tried being assertive, and I don't. Me and my other friend honestly believe that we're going to be going to his funeral at some point because it's just getting worse. So, where is the line between enabling and helping?
Two things. One, this is hard to accept, but that is entirely possible. That you could be going to his funeral soon, and there is nothing you can do about it. That happens, and that is a realistic possibility, and there is nothing you can do about it. Okay, so that's the first thing to accept.
How do you? Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I guess I don't want to accept that. I feel like if I accept that, then I am failing him.
Then you're just hurting yourself. You're not helping him by doing that. That's the other thing. To help him, he has to ask for it.
That's true.
He has to ask for it, or you're not helping.
But okay,
Your hands are tied. Your hands are tied. This is the struggle of an addict, is accepting that I have control over absolutely nothing except for myself and my emotions and what I'm doing right now. Not 10 minutes from now, not 10 minutes ago.
Right.
Not 10 years from now, not 10 years ago. This is all I have control over, is me. I don't have control over you. As much as I could keep saying, God, if you would only blank, if you would only learn, if you would only do this, I could talk about what you could do all the time. I don't have any control over it. It sounds like we need to do a episode on addicts, but just to cover really quickly, this is just so important. The second thing is that if they do ask you for help. I'm sorry, we still have Jesse on the line, right?
Yeah, we still have Jesse. Sorry.
Jesse, I'm so sorry. If they do ask for help, the best way. Sorry, go ahead.
You sound so much like my mom, who was a counselor for alcoholism back in the 70s. She was a counselor, and I mean, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's absolutely beautiful listening to you talk about this, because I mean, it's so healthy, and I have so much respect for you.
Thank you. Well, just real quick, let me finish saying this so that we can get it out, and then we can continue talking about relationships. But so when somebody does ask you for help and they're struggling, the best thing that you can do is to tell them what your boundaries are. If you truly believe that the next time, that it's that bad, that they're going to die or something, the best thing for you to do is say, I'm concerned for your life, and so I can't be around you and support that anymore. If you're going to be on blank, or if you're going to be using blank, I'm not going to be present. You have to remove yourself from the situation. And so this is what happened to me. I had two of my best friends remove themselves from my life the moment that I got married, because I was still an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. And they were like, you know what? She's good. She's married now. We can leave her, because I was such a bad drunk. I got so drunk that they ghosted me, and I needed that because it woke me up. I was like, oh, wait, I actually do have a problem, and I don't have as much control over it as I thought I did. And I finally accepted that and went to rehab and learned what was wrong with me. And I asked for help, and now I'm sober. That was the line. My friends ghosting me. All of my friends ghosted me. All of them.
But
that's what got me sober. And now I'm the best. I'm such a better friend.
Maybe I guess I don't know. Maybe I have some bias, and this is not to do like, okay.
We need to do a show.
Huh?
I feel bad. Like we should be talking about relationships. Do you think we should?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I've
like let's do a show on addiction. Let's do on addiction and mental health.
I agree. I want to make one last point, Jesse. I'm sorry.
Please. I'm sorry.
I'm scared of doing that, because now, granted, my brother passing had nothing to do with addiction, but had I not partially written him off, I could have saved him.
Sure,
And
we don't know
all
that.
I can think about is I like, I was his protector. Like, I was responsible for him, and I let him down, and I guess I struggle, like, what if someone else passes because I didn't do everything I could? Like, the I have so much guilt I live with every day, man, and I think about, like, if I could have just said this, or if I could have just done this, and it sucks. I don't know if I could live with the guilt of another person knowing that I could have helped them or done something. That terrifies me. Like,
You couldn't have. You have no control over them.
I know
It
I don't have
sucks.
control. I just feel like there's got to be a better solution.
No. The fact is that life is hard and we are not perfect and we are in pain most of the time, and we're just trying to figure this all out. But life is dirty.
It is.
It may feel like you should be doing something better, maybe because you've been taught that you could be doing something better. But the fact is, you are literally doing everything that you can possibly do. You are. Like that's actually what's happening. So you can beat yourself
You're
up.
doing the best.
You're only hurting yourself. Yes, please, Jesse.
Yeah,
What's your
sorry,
take on
Jesse.
this?
I'll shut up now.
You're doing the best that you can, and you've got to know that your best is changing every day.
Mm-hmm. If you're being honest.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Your best is changing every day. People's choices are not your responsibility.
No. So how are you doing, Jesse? You doing okay since finding out about this diagnosis?
It's been a couple of years now. And well, the thing is, we already started to drift apart, and maybe you see, we had been drifting apart for the last few years. Before then, she started to become religious, which is because she lives in a religious town,
Okay.
and she always just kind of stayed away from it. But then she retired, and just from being a medical technologist, and and she had a lot of free time, and then she just sort of the religion just sort of kind of took over. And so she started questioning, and then my atheism just that kind of drove us a little apart. And then her father died, and her mom moved from where she was up in North Jersey to.
Can I interrupt, Jesse?
Sure.
The only reason that I'm interrupting is because you're telling me a lot about her, but I'm wondering how you're doing. Like the sentence starting with the word I feel. Like, how do you feel? How are you? If you don't mind me asking, I mean, this is the point of the show. We want to check on you.
On me, how I'm
Yes.
doing now, or
right now. How are you? Do you need anything?
Yeah, I need people, I guess. I'm living on my own. I'm currently going to therapy 3 times a week for my shoulders started to hurt and my neck, and that's going to be coming to an end very soon. So I don't have that.
Good.
I don't have any structure. And my social worker says, that I got to find things to do around here, and that's gonna. That's gonna take work. First of all, the therapy that I'm going to is, I love it because it's making me exercise and get better. And I mean, I've already got rides set up to go to that, so everything is set up. Part of my injury is initiation, and getting things together. There are things that are happening in the neighborhood, well, in the area, that I possibly could manage to get to. But the thing is, with the initiation, it's a problem just getting that, setting that whole thing up. So that's a problem. And I'm just getting things for when therapy ends, which isn't a lot of time anyway. I don't know.
What can we do for you?
What's that?
Can we do anything for you? Can we provide any kind of resources or community? Sounds like you struggle with transportation.
Yeah, as I don't drive. I do have a trike though, an adult trike, which I'm able to ride around in the immediate area though.
Oh, that's good. But it's only immediate.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in a place that's it's not like in the sticks, but it's not it's pretty, I mean, I guess there are a lot of things around here, but it's not like the city. But I mean, it's still, there are things around here. I mean, there are taxis and buses and things like that. But I'm,
But you're hanging in there.
What's that?
You're hanging in there though, like you're figuring it out, right? You're doing what you got to do, right?
Yeah, for the most part. But as you know, my mom died just over a year ago, and it just seems like I mean, we were very, very close, and it just seems like it was a couple of months ago. And that was a major blow to me. Major.
Do you talk about her?
I mean,
you talk about her now, which is awesome. But do you talk about her in your everyday life? Do you talk about, oh, I remember when this happened, or I remember that?
No, not really. I mean, I used to talk to my stepfather a lot, but he, and my stepfather and I were he's been married to my mom since like 1978 and seeing her since 76. So, I mean, he's been more like a real father to me. And he lived with her. So, I mean, he was going through a lot more pain than I was. Because I would talk to her all the time. I mean, every week.
But it's okay. Yes. So this is the thing. This is another thing. I wish that we would all, and this is difficult to do, but stop comparing pain to others and like who's hurting more.
Yeah, it's not a competition.
Exactly. Like you get nowhere when you decide and then it changes. And then, and it's all subjective, it just the fact that everybody's hurting, it would be so helpful if we could acknowledge that, and I think we'd treat each other better if we just understood that everybody's fighting their own battles.
We all
and
have
accept that.
pain.
Yeah, like you're fighting battles too. Your feelings are legitimate, just as legitimate. You lost your mom. I mean, it's one of the worst things in the world, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's totally legitimate that you still hurt. Might I make a recommendation?
Yeah.
Just since I've experienced this recently or something similar, talking about the loved one can really help, because it's memories that keep people alive. It's talking about people that keeps people here. It makes you feel better. It kind of gets you used to the idea, and it can make you accept the fact that they're gone a little bit quicker, just so far in my experience.
Right. Well, I was just thinking about it, and I lost, Barbara, the woman I was seeing for 18 years,
Oh, wow.
to Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever, and I lost my mom. So, I mean, those are two major things right there.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So, I mean, yeah.
So you're taking care of yourself though. You're seeing a therapist, you said, a couple times a week. So you're doing what you need to do there. You're calling this mental health show, you're talking about it. You're reaching out to the community. I've seen you all over comments and everything. And it sounds like you're doing really well.
Well, thanks. And I'm really, I don't know.
No?
A lot of the things on Facebook, I feel I've turned really I made a sharp turn, I think, for the worse since my mom died. And even though I try to be light about it on Facebook, it's really, there's a lot behind it. I mean, it's behind my memes and stuff. They've just gone really bad. But I mean, it's like they're a cover up, really. But still, there's a lot there. There's just really.
Do you journal?
I mean, what's that?
Do you journal? Do you write?
I used to a lot more than I do now. Writing is a hobby of mine. And I used to, like I said, I used to journal a lot more than I do now. I also, I used to get, I was able to get into this, I guess you could call it self-dialogues. When I'll basically write something and then talk back to myself.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like really myself, it's sort of like Neil Donald Walsh does in Conversations with God.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, well, it's like where he talks something and then he'll write something back as if it's like God talking, and everyone is all so freaked out. It's like he's really has a connection with God, and it's like he's just talking to himself. And it's
I kind of do that.
I was amazed. What's that?
No, that's okay. I do that. Like I talk to myself. Like in my head, I have Big Jenna and Little Jenna
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just what I mean. And it's like I tried that. I did that once years ago and it's like I'm amazed at what I come up with. It's kind of like it's almost like I'm talking to a therapist, and I read those things to my therapist. I mean, she just kind of just didn't say anything because there was really nothing that she could say.
Right.
I mean, I wrote about my problems, and then I would just answer myself as if I was a therapist.
That's perfect.
Because I was just, and I didn't give myself any breaks. I mean, it was kind of like I would just say something, and then I would just counter myself. Oh, this is bullshit. Who are you trying to kid?
Exactly.
What's that?
I'm sorry. I'm loving this. This is what I would recommend people do all the time.
Yeah, I really should get back into doing this, but it's just, I just wouldn't give myself any breaks, and the therapist I was with could see that, and she just kind of just didn't have to say anything to me,
right?
But I mean, that was really cool. I really got to get back into doing that.
Yeah, you should.
See, talking about it can help you discover what you need, and then when you start writing, you can discover even more what you need. You can figure out how to put things on paper. So it's like I have such a hard time writing with, like, I get my paper and my pen, and I love blank pages so much that it's hard for me to start. It's just like, it's so beautiful. So you just go, mosh pit. Anyway.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, one of the things about Barbara was that she would have to take care of her mom after her father died, And I took a back seat to that, which was frustrating. And I wrote her a note about that, and I went into very explicit detail. And I had it checked out with my therapist and many other people who I trusted to make sure that I got everything right about it. And I emailed it to her, and then she forgot all about it. And I emailed it to her a second time, and she forgot about it again. And, a couple of her best friends were mentioning to me then about her memory going. And this is before it hit her full force. And, but I mean, I've always been a good writer, and I read this to a couple of people, and they were like, you really hit on pretty much everything. And I was just wanted to be like super sure that I wasn't missing anything, that I was, hitting everything very, very accurately. And it was just so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is just going back to the whole mental health thing, trying to deal with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I mean, with something like dementia and Alzheimer's, it's really depressing, because it's like the person has died. They've died, but they are still alive. And it's really.
Have you taken time to grieve?
What's that?
Have you taken time to grieve?
Oh, I don't know. I did a little bit this morning when I saw the title of the show.
Good.
I don't. I'll watch a lot of shows on Netflix, and a lot of times I'll start, crying hysterically at things that I'll go like a little overboard at certain things that have to do with humanity and relationships and being there for each other, which is like really my highest held value in life, is, like I said, companionship and friendship.
Right.
Healthy.
It does. They're important.
Well, to cry, to allow yourself to cry about it too. It's if you're crying, it's because there's stress in you that needs out. So.
Yeah. And like I said, those are my highest held values in life. And I almost lost mine to learn that. Visiting hours were like the best time of the day when I was in the hospital. Right. And this is when visiting hours were a certain time. This is back in 1984. So now, of course, you can visit people anytime.
Right.
But
hey,
yeah.
We've got a couple more callers and just another like half hour for the show.
Oh, okay.
Do you mind calling back?
I'm sorry?
We'll have a different topic next week and another topic the next week. So do you mind calling back?
Oh, not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. I call these shows all the time anyway. So
yeah, I'm glad you do. I'm so glad you do.
Yeah, we appreciate your time, Jesse, and thank you for sharing
always great talking with you, Ethan. This has been a very, very big pleasure of mine. Definitely.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Keep taking care of you.
Thank you both.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So long.